What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Board Games Are For Everybody, where today, if I can reach this box while knocking the camera around, we're going to be playing a game of Skulk Hollow. Now, Skulk Hollow is a two-player game, and obviously I am not two people, so we're just going to be playing both sides by ourselves. And I already know what you guys are thinking. Oh man, so lame. Like, Mo Peak just came out, and this guy's playing Skulk Hollow and not the new game Mo Peak. I don't have it yet. I don't have it yet, unfortunately. I haven't been able to track it down where I wouldn't have to pay a ridiculous amount of shipping to get it to me. So we have to wait. We have to wait on Mo Peak. Yet here we are playing Skulk Hollow. Now, to be clear, that was satire and sarcasm. I don't think you guys sound like that. It's okay. It's all right. We're gonna play. Oh God, we're gonna play some Skulk Hollow. We are playing the Foxen Heroes against Tanthos, the octopus kraken monster. These guys are called Guardians. I'm probably gonna completely forget that as we go along here and not call them that, but they are called Guardians for all things, all intents and purposes. So I'm not particularly going to choose a side to play. I think we're just going to play both sides to the best of my abilities, and we're going to see who wins. So with the Foxen Heroes, their hand limit is 5, and they get to make 3 turns per move. They can play 3 cards, choosing 1 action from those cards each turn. We'll get into the cards in a sec. And they have a hand limit of 5. This is all the different stuff we can do. We'll go over this in a sec. And then during setup, place the hero figure for the sentinel, the hero figures for the sentinel and the selected leader in the keep space. You always take the first turn of the game. So heroes always go first. So we've got our sentinel here. The hero that we are choosing to use for this round is the Queen of Blessing. Spend 1 power to remove 1 wound from any hero units. Now, the reason I'm using the Queen of Blessing is because we haven't used her yet. So I wanted to try her out. And the healing power is also, I think, pretty beneficial. I don't think the Foxen Heroes actually have any healing cards in their deck. So having a hero that can heal is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Yeah, so that's what we got for the Foxen Heroes. That's pretty much it right now. We're just going to draw our 5 cards right now, and we're just going to keep them right there for a sec. Next things next, we got Tanthos. So all the Guardians have their own requirement for winning the game. In Tanthos' case, we have to have all 6 root tokens present on the Skulk Hollow map at the same time. And we have a bunch of attacks and stuff, which we will get into in a sec. During setup, place 1 root token on the layer space. You can move root tokens around on the Skulk Hollow map with move action. Each root token can be destroyed with a melee attack or a missile action. So I guess I get to start with 1 root. That makes things easier. So for Tanthos, we have to have all 6 of our roots on the board. Or if we defeat the Foxen Hero, it also counts as a victory. I have always felt, personally, every time we've played this game, we typically don't go after the Foxen Hero because I think going after the hero, especially when you can't heal, most of the heroes have very little HP. The actual heroes may possibly all have 3, but when you can't heal yourself, I found that it just comes down to running around. You're just running around trying to avoid being attacked, and you're really not doing much. You're not engaging much. So I've always tried to pull off a win when I'm playing as a Guardian by doing their special power opposed to taking out the leader. However, should the leader ever get to a point where they're attacking, trying to take him out is potentially going to be a strategy, because I'm not just going to sit there and let them kill me. But we are going to do what we can to try and, what's the word I'm looking for? Try and succeed via our special conditions. Succeed was not the word I was looking for, but I couldn't find the words, so we changed what we were going to say. Tanthos has a hand limit of 4 and is only allowed to make 2 moves per turn. And that's everything we have for setup. Our heroes are starting in the keep. Tanthos is starting in the lair with 1 tentacle active, and we're going to get into things. So the Foxen Heroes get to go first. This is our current hand. There are 2 different types of cards. Our hand currently consists of a lot of the same card. We have unit cards, which we can place a unit card down and add that corresponding figure either to the keep or one of the 2 village spaces here. Our orientation of the board is a little different than it would normally be, so when we play stuff, we're going to have to play it sideways as far as movement stuff goes. So we can play a unit card, and that unit can then be brought out onto the board. The other option we have is I don't know what they're actually called, but basically we have cards that allow us to either attack or to move around on the board and do this and that. This one in particular allows us to either use a melee attack or a missile attack. On the top of the different characters, it shows you what cards they're compatible with. So this particular knight can use a melee attack to do attack, and they can also do jumps, which we'll get to in a bit. Leap is what the actual definition is, leap. We'll get to that when we get some. We don't have it in our hand right now. But he is capable of using the melee attack, whereas this archer here is capable of using the missile attack. And different characters have different abilities based on what you are doing. In the example of the archer, down at the bottom of the card there, you'll see if you use a missile attack, you get to fire from a surrounding ground space, deal 1 wound to any guardian location. So long as you're in a surrounding space and not in the same space, the archer would be able to do a missile attack. Whereas something like the knight, who has mount, if you move in any direction, when entering the guardian's ground space, this hero unit may take a free leap action. Leaping is used to come onto the guardian board in order to do more damage. So we're just going to hop right into doing stuff. That's more or less everything that we have to go over. The other choice that we have is we can discard 1 card in order to draw 2. Say we have a bunch of cards in our hand we don't really want. We can discard in order to draw. We will get into what these yellow spaces here do when we get to it. We have no cards that can do anything for that though. So to start off, we are going to play an archer, and we've got our sword archer here. We're going to put that archer just right into the town over here. So that is 1 card that we have placed down. Second card we're going to place, I think we're going to place one of these knights down. We've got the one with the helmet here. We can put him into this space over here. And then there's not much else we can do, so we may as well just stock up on allies here. We'll play another knight into this town space over here. So we've played our 3 cards. We're now going to refill our hand back up to 5, and our turn has ended. So it is now Tanthos' turn. So Tanthos has a bunch of different things. We do have a gain power, which we can get into power potentially. We can't really use the crush right now. I should actually hold on to that card down here because I haven't actually used Tanthos myself. My partner used Tanthos when we were playing, so I don't 100% remember what all of his abilities are. So Crush allows us to... Each root token deals 1 wound to all hero units in its space. So any space that has a root token in it that also has a hero in it, they would take 1 damage. We do have some movement, which we would have to play this way. So we would be able to move something 1 space. I don't know if it's technically horizontally, adjacently to the right. In this case is the left because we're playing it backwards. So we would be able to place, like say we could move Tanthos up this way if we wanted to, or we could move the tentacle up if we wanted to, because we're allowed to move the tentacles. We also have Shock. Shock allows us to deal 1 wound to any hero unit attached to Tanthos, or in Tanthos' ground space. So if there's a hero in our space or on the Guardian board, we get to deal damage to them. We also have Tunnel. Tunnel is what we are going to be able to use in order to place roots into spaces on the board. However, we are only allowed to place roots on empty spaces on the board. So if a space isn't empty, then we won't be able to place a root down into it. And that's all we've got at the moment. So I think what we're going to do for our turns is we are going to use that tunnel. Just going to put that in the discard. We're going to place a root onto this space over here. And then we're also going to use gain 1 power. So we would take one of these cubes here and we would just place it in our pool. That's now the end of our turn, so we're just going to draw 2 cards to come back up to 4. We'll keep these face up over here so we can kind of see the cards that we got. And now that it's the end of our turn, we have a cleanup phase. The cleanup phase consists of restocking our hand, which we did already, but it also allows us to move any pooled power into the spaces that characters may have. Now, Tanthos is only allowed to hold 1 extra power. I'm just going to move the camera over here. We're kind of cutting off the entire side here. There we go. Hopefully everything's still in the shot. So Tanthos is only allowed to have 1 power. What we can do with those power cubes is that on our turn, we can discard a cube in order to take an additional action. And I think we're going to be using that probably on the next turn, depending on what we get. So Tanthos' turn is now done. We're going to come back to our heroes, and we're maybe going to hopefully try and start doing some stuff. I do have a Proceed, so we could use the Proceed to move one of our knights into that tentacle space, and we could attack the tentacle to try and get rid of it. We could also try and get some more archers in order to do some melee attacks. What we are going to do, I think we're going to... It's just the Sentinel and the Queen that has power right now, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going to use this Proceed in order to move to this adjacent space. We're going to move our archer to the adjacent space. And we are going... So that was 1 move. We'll put our discard up here. Our second move, we're going to use the missile effect here. And we're going to missile towards the Tanthos. Now the question is, do we want to attack the tentacle, or do we want to put damage onto Tanthos itself? As we fill up these damage spots here, if a spot is completely filled up, they can no longer use that power. So I'm wondering if trying to maybe knock out Tunnel would be good. Also, potentially knocking out Pull would be good, because Pull is going to allow Tanthos to pull our adjacent heroes into its space so that it can attack better. So we're going to start We're going to use that missile to deal 1 damage, which I need the green ones for Tanthos, which we got over here. So we're going to attack, and we're going to deal a damage to the pull. We're going to try and avoid him pulling us towards it. That way we can try and attack from range. We'll see how it goes. And then I have one more attack here. So I think we're actually going to use the second missile, and we're just going to completely block off that pull. We're not going to worry about that pull. And that's going to be our turn. We've played 3 cards, so we need to refresh back up to 5, 2, 3. Got some decent movement stuff here. Another knight. That's pretty nice. Okay, so that is our turn. We are now going back to Tanthos. We are going to, what do we got here? We got a shock, but we don't got much going on right now. So what we're actually going to do, although I don't want to use the tunnel. That's just back. That's not what I want. I want to use the tunnel, so I don't want to... Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to discard this card in order to draw 2. So that's 1 movement. There's, oh wow, 2 additional tunnels. We're going to use a tunnel. So we're going to place our tentacle on this empty space in the middle. And then we're going to use our power cube up here to take an additional turn. And we are going to be doing another tunnel. We're going to get another tunnel. We're going to place it over here. So we now have 4 tentacles on the board. We're going to have to start taking out some tentacles with the Fox Heroes here. And that is Tanthos' turn. We made 3 actions thanks to that additional power cube. Back up to 4 cards. It is now the Foxen Heroes' turn. We're going to start things off. Oh, hold on here. We have no attack stuff right now. So what we need to do is we need to try and get people into these other spaces so that they can't play any more tentacles. We only have movement right now. We could discard in order to get some stuff. That's also an option. So we are going to play the archer. The archer is going to come into the town here, so that frees up that space. That's 1 movement. That is not the movement that I want. No, not the movement that I want. I could get up to with the other archer. We have no missiles in order to attack, so that's a bit of a problem. Maybe we discard to draw 2 cards and hope that we get something. We're going to discard. We're going to discard this other knight in order to draw 2. So this is our second movement. We didn't particularly get anything beneficial for us. We can move over this way, but they're still going to have this space here that they'll be able to put stuff into. So unfortunately, that was a bit of a bust, but that's okay. So we're going to use the scatter. We'll come up this way with our archer. That way we can at least still summon into this space here. So that was our 3 actions. We need 1 card. Okay, there's our hand for next turn. We're back to Tanthos. So Tanthos has received the any action, which allows them to take any action out of the different stuff that they have. Now, using that for a tunnel would be great if we were able to do that. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to use our first action, and we are going to do approach left. So that's going to allow us to move this way one space, and we're going to move our tentacle into this space with the archer here. For our second movement, we are going to use, is it shock the one or is it crush? Deal 1 wound to any hero unit attached to Tanthos or in his space. So it's crush that we would want to use. So we're going to use our any action to use the crush action, and each space with a hero in it takes 1 damage that has a tentacle in it as well, which is only this 1 space here. However, this archer only has 1 health. So if we were to place that taken health on it, that enemy has now been defeated. Well, enemy of Tanthos, I suppose. So that goes there, and this comes off the board. So that was our 2 actions with Tanthos. So Tanthos' turn is now done. Okay. So we're back to the Foxen Heroes. We really need to try and do some damage here. So we are going to... Maneuver would bring me into the middle. I have nothing to attack with, is the problem. We're going to start by playing our rogue. This is the one with the dagger. And we're going to place him into the town. So at least in the current state, Tanthos can't play any more tentacles because there are no open spaces on the board. However, if he uses movement in order to move those tentacles, he will then be able to. So that was one action. We are going to... I think we have to discard a card in order to try and get some sort of attack going on here. So we're going to discard this maneuver and gain 1 power in order to draw 2 cards as our second action. And we did not gain anything particularly beneficial, so that is unfortunate. So what we are going to do in that case is we really need some movement here, huh? That wouldn't get me where I need to be. Maybe we just discard to try and get more, or we can gain power. Get some power onto our Sentinel and our Queen of Blessing, though no one's taken any damage yet. Power works the same way for us as it does for Tanthos. However, in regards to our characters, we can only use an additional action with the character that the power is on. So that's just something we have to keep in mind as we're distributing our power. I think we're just going to play another rogue to try and get some more characters onto the board here. And we're going to hope that we can start getting some sort of damage output. Like, we really need some damaging. Well, we got a melee. That's good. We really need some more damaging cards here. So we are now on Tanthos' turn. Now, Tanthos doesn't have anything to place more tentacles with. No tunnel. However, they do, unfortunately, have... So I'd have to go to the right. Nobody to go to the right. This is also right. This one would work. So we're going to play approach right. And we're going to move this middle one into this space over here with these knights. That's our first action. And then we are going to use crush as our second action. And crush... Each token deals 1 damage to all hero units in its ground space. So both of these knights are going to take 1 damage each. So that knight and that knight both taking a damage. And that is Tanthos' turn. Okay, back to the Foxen Heroes. So, we're still in a bit of a predicament as far as, well, now we're in a bit of a predicament as far as movement goes. So we're going to start by discarding this rogue. We're going to draw 2 cards. Okay, a flank. Not quite what I want. Not quite what I want. If I had a missile, that flank could be beneficial for us, but unfortunately I don't. We do have a lot of melee though. We have 2 melees. So what can I do with melees? I think we're going to use one of those melee attacks. Oh, this has to go into the discard. I think we're... Oh, that was my hand. Don't want it to go into my hand. We're going to use one of these melee attacks as one of our knights over here in order to get rid of this tentacle that's over here. And what else do we got? That was our second action because we discarded in order to draw 2 cards. Now we don't have anything else that can attack, but we do want to try and cover that center space so that they can't tunnel. So we're going to use slant to the right, and we're going to move one of these knights into this center space here, blocking that space off. Okay, back to Tanthos. So, what do we got going on here? We are going to... That's a retreat. I can't use that. Retreat left. Nope, that wouldn't work. Flank right. That wouldn't work either. We don't have anything in that space. So, I think what we're going to do is... Unfortunately, for us to mend, we would have to use the card that would have the pull, which we would then not be able to use if we heal the pull. But we don't have much else going on with our current cards, so I think we're going to discard. And we're going to draw 2. So here's 1. We need 1 more. Just shuffle up the Tanthos deck here. Get some cards back. And here is 2. Our any action card, that's pretty good. So we now have 1 more movement here. And I think we're going to use that retreat left, and we're going to bring this tentacle back down into this space here. So that is our turn for Tanthos, just the 2 actions. We're back to the Foxen Heroes. So let's see what we got going on here. We're going to start by doing a flank. We're going to move our archer into this center space here. Discard over here. Our second attack is going to be with our... Oh, that might be a bad idea, actually. I'm wondering if we should keep him in that space, because he now has the option to... could potentially get 2 roots out, which isn't good. That probably wouldn't be good. Maybe we should leave them... Nah, it's fine. We'll move them into the middle. We're going to use the missile to take out a root. I think that's the good way to do it. And then we have 1 action left here. Melee won't do much for us. Leap won't do much for us. So I think we're going to just gain 1 power. So that will go into our pool. It's now the end of our turn, so we need 3 cards. And we need to put that power onto someone who I think we're going to put it on the queen, because she can heal a damage from these knights, which will be beneficial. Hi, what you meowing at? What you meowing at? How's it going? Okay, back to Tanthos' turn. So, we have the any action. We've got pull, which we can't use. Oh, we have 2 pulls now. Okay, that's different. We're going to start by using the any action in order to plant another root down. We're going to go back up into this corner here, because it's the only option we really have. And then I think we're going to mend our pull, so we get to get 1 heart off of pull, which means we can now use pull again, so that's nice. And that's our turn for Tanthos. Pretty quick turn there. Pretty quick turn. Okay, so back to the Foxen Heroes. We are going to gain ground. We're going to be gaining ground. We're going to move our knights into Tanthos' space, and thanks to the knight's ability, when entering the Guardian's ground space, this hero unit may take 1 free leap action. So we're going to be leaping onto this tunnel section here, onto the tentacle. So now that we are on this space, we now have someone on the board. We can now start doing damage, but we also have to be careful because the shock can definitely deal some damage to us and can be pretty deadly. So that was our first action. We're going to use the Queen's power here in order to heal our Sentinel. Make sure we're healing the right one, the one that's on the Guardian here. Now, powers are free actions, so that didn't take one of our actions. We are now going to use 2 melee attacks as our second 2 actions, and we are going to block off this tunnel down here so that we can hopefully just be rid of tunneling on the next turn. If we can get 2 more melee attacks on the next turn, we can make it over to the tunnel and potentially reduce Tanthos' ability to even tunnel to us. So we have 1. We need 2 more cards here. And 2, 3. Okay. So it is now Tanthos' turn. So Tanthos is going to start. We have healed our pull. We could pull into us. So we are, I think we might do that. We're going to use our, is shock just the tentacles? Deal 1 wound to any hero unit attached to Tanthos. Oh no, shock is, crush is the one with the tentacles. So we're going to use our pull action in order to move 1 hero unit from a surrounding ground space to the ground space with a root token. So it has to be with a root token, which unfortunately there is no longer a root token in Tanthos' space. However, well, maybe we won't do that. I thought we still had a root token in Tanthos' space, but we don't. If we did, that would have been beneficial. It was not. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the tunnel. We're going to place a tentacle over here. And then we are going to, you know what? Now we'll use the pull, and we will pull one of these guys over to this space here. Now that may be a little deadly because they could attack and take it out. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I think the better option for the heroes is to get rid of that tunnel, so we'll see how it goes. Which we did end up with 2 melee attacks, so that's probably what's going to happen this turn. So we're going to use leap times 2 Our knight over here is going to follow these little lovely dots. We're going to hit the crush. We're going to use our second movement to come down to the other tunnel. And we are going to use both of those melee attacks with our knight in order to completely block off this tunnel action here. So we've got 1 and we've got 2. So Tanthos can no longer tunnel unless he mends one of those tunnels. He cannot put tunnels onto the playfield. No more tentacles onto the playfield. And that was all 3 of our movements for the Foxen Heroes. So again, pretty quick turn. I feel like the beginning of the game is a lot slower than the end of the game is. Like once you start getting things moving, the game really picks up. Okay, we are going to use shock. We're going to be using shock. Because I don't think I can get anything into Tanthos' spot here. Approach right. That could work. Okay. Okay. We're going to... this is a bit of a setup. It'll be interesting. We might have to start going after the the leader there now that they've taken out our other options here. So we're gonna do approach right. We're gonna bring Tanthos up this way into this space over here. So that was one action. And then we are going to do a flank right. And we're going to bring this tentacle into this space over here. Okay. Okay, that's our turn. I could have crushed in order to get rid of one of their rogues, but it didn't happen. It just didn't happen. We got to mend, that's good. We could potentially mend for another tunnel. Provided we have a tunnel, I'm not sure if we do. Back to the Foxen Heroes. We have 2 missiles. We could do some damage. I think we're going to do that. We're going to use the missile in order to attack with our archer here. And we're going to attack Tanthos, see, as he is in that adjacent space still. And we're going to get that pole knocked out. And then we're going to use a second missile. And we're just going to put damage somewhere. What's the best thing to put it on? Probably on the shock. Because shock is going to be able to attack our hero that is on Tanthos currently. And then what are we going to do for our third move here? I think we're just going to gain 2 power. And that'll be our turn. Okay, so we're going to distribute our power. We're going to put 1 onto the queen, and we will put 1... The knights can't use them, eh? The rogues can. Getting the rogues onto a guardian seemed to be like a pretty good deal. We're going to put it onto our sentinel. Okay, back to Tanthos. So we really need to get some movement going on here. Because we really don't got a whole lot. We're going to do... We can't tunnel. We could mend though. We're going to mend... We're going to mend that tunnel space over here so that we can use tunnel again. And we are going to use a tunnel in order to put a tentacle on this empty space back here. 1 more tentacle and Tanthos will be the victor. Okay, so it is now the Foxen Heroes' turn. So they need to try and get that... They need to try and get that tunnel out of there. So, do I have a missile? I don't have any missiles. So we are going to discard. Actually, you know what? Hold on here. I got my knight still. Can I move? If I can move with my knight, I can... Oh, I can maneuver. So I'm going to maneuver with the knight. The knight is going to come this way. And we are going to get, with his ability, when entering the Guardian's ground space, this hero may take a free leap action. So we're going to be leaping onto this tunnel side over here. So that's one action. We're going to use a melee attack. Once again, we're going to get that tunnel blocked off. He can no longer tunnel. And then for our third action, we're going to play this third knight just in case, so he can't tunnel into that space there. That is our turn for the Foxen Heroes. I think that was a pretty strategic go. I think that was a pretty strategic turn. We managed to block spaces off, so that's good. We managed to get tunnel taken off, so that's good. Let's see what Tanthos has in store for us. We are going to do an approach left. Tanthos is going to come into the middle space here. And then we are going to use a shock, since we can still use shock. So shock allows us to deal 1 wound to any hero units attached to Tanthos or in Tanthos's ground space. So we can deal it to one of them. So the archer we're fine with, because the archer is only allowed to use his missile from a surrounding space, not from the space we're in. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to attack this knight here, seeming as I forgot to heal it while I was playing as the Foxen Heroes. Whoops, I didn't heal it. That's on me for just forgetting to do it. We're going to deal a damage to this shield knight here, and that is going to defeat the knight. So that knight has been taken out, and he did a good job though. He got that tunnel out, and that is our second move for Tanthos there. We need one more card. Okay. It is now the Foxen Heroes' turn once again. So what do we got going on here? That knight could move and would gain a free mount. I don't know if I have any leaps though. I don't have any leaps. So we could get down onto the bottom, but we don't have anything to move. That's only if he takes a leap action, so we don't got anything for that. We're going to discard a card. They're all kind of decent cards right now. Gain ground is any direction. We'll keep that. We'll discard the flank. We're going to draw 2 cards here. So that's one action. Okay, an archer and a missile. That's not terrible. And we have the leap. Could be risky. We're going to place an archer down. So he is going to come into this town space right here. And then we're going to use that missile as our third action. We're going to attack Tanthos. We're going to deal another damage to his shock. That is our 3 actions. We're now coming back to Tanthos. Things are getting tense. Things are getting tense. It is really coming down to the wire. We are going to gain ground with Tanthos. Tanthos is moving into the space with the leader. And then we are going to be using Crush is not what I wanted. Shock is what I wanted. Each root token deals 1 damage to all hero units. We are not moving Tanthos. We're moving the root. We have retracted our movement to make a better choice. We're moving the root. And then we're going to use Crush. And Crush allows us, each root token deals 1 wound to all hero units in its ground space. So the only space that has anything right now is this space right here. So we're dealing 1 damage to the Queen, and we're dealing 1 damage to the Sentinel, and that is our turn. Okay, back to the Foxen Heroes. It is getting close. 3 more attacks, and the Foxen Heroes will have been victorious. We are going to use 1 action. No, that's not the one. We're going to gain ground to move in any direction. We're going to move our rogue into Tanthos' space. Our second action, we're going to use a leap. Thanks to the rogue's ability, they have dash. When this hero unit takes a leap action, they may attach to any guardian location. So we're going to leap right onto this Crush. And then for our third action, we are going to use a melee attack. Actually, you know what? We're going to leap onto the Shock is probably the better option. And then we're going to use the melee attack, and we are going to completely get rid of Shock here. So he only has 2 damage on Crush left. 2. We need 1 more card. Oh, also, we're going to use our power cube here in order to heal the Queen of Blessing, because that's just the smart thing to do. Okay, it is now Tanthos' turn. Can Tanthos get something going on here? Oh, he sure can. He sure can. So we're going to mend. We are mending our tunnel. And then we are using tunnel in order to place our 6th and final tentacle onto the board. So at a last minute clench from getting that mend, Tanthos has defeated the Foxen Heroes. All of the Foxen Heroes have succumbed to Tanthos' might. His mighty tentacles have defeated all of them. These guys have been thrust off and lay dead on the battlefield. Yeah, Tanthos got that lucky mend and tunnel in the hand. So good for them. Good for them. And there just happened to be an empty space on the board. And it all worked out for Tanthos. So that is it for this round of Skulk Hollow, the Foxen Heroes versus Tanthos, with Tanthos ending up with the victory. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you have played Skulk Hollow, let me know what you think of it down below. If you've played Mole Peak, let me know what you think of that down below as well, because I'm interested in getting it. I just don't, I haven't really looked into it much. I can only assume it's more Skulk Hollow, which is great. If watching this video has made you want to try the game out for yourself, let me know that down below as well. It's always interesting to see what kind of games people end up trying based on what we take a look at on the channel here. If you are over on Instagram, you can follow us at Board Games Are For Everybody on Instagram. We just post photos of games that we're playing as well as stuff that we pick up. So just come out, come hang out and have a good time. Talk about some games. And yeah, that's it for Instagram. If you're over on Board Game Arena, you can send me a friend request at Games Are For Everybody. Just Games Are For Everybody over on Board Game Arena. And maybe we can play some games sometime. But that is it for this video of Skulk Hollow, the Foxen Heroes versus Tanthos. So thank you guys very much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully I will see you all next time. But until then, just remember the board games are for everybody. And until next time, peace.